Good afternoon and welcome to Gigabits and Gigahertz, a vlog about technology, telecom, IoT, 5G, and everything else. Here today, I'm very happy to have Steve Brumer. Steve, how you doing?
Fantastic, Gino. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for accepting our invitation and for being here. I know that the space that you work on is hectic, and we got a lot of, let's say, stuff to do, but I'm pretty thankful for having you here, and let's get down to it. Steve, how are you related to the telecom industry? I want the people that are watching this get to know you, get to know where you're from, and how are you involved and engaged in the telecom industry?
Excellent. Well, thanks for the question and thanks for having me. So been in the wireless industry well over 30 years. I started when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I get that. Okay. So, but been doing this for a long time. Started out very similar, in years like you. I mean, we started out in telecom, and we're doing rack mount modems, and then kind of moved into the wireless industry. Been doing IoT for over 25 years. In various ways, from distribution of products to installations, and owning our own spectrum and doing all kinds of data tracking in various assets and programs and products. So I've been doing this a long time. For the last 10 years, after I sold a company that was one of the largest distributors and national master dealers in the wireless space, been doing more strategy and advisory services to helping companies make money in this space. It's one thing to know the technology and be very knowledgeable about how these things work, but it's a little different thing to take technology and make money at it. So, what's the ROIs look like? How much of investment are you going to get, and how much is it going to cost you to keep this thing going? So that's what our business is all about today. It's a very good business to be in, because as IoT continues to explode and we look at so many different areas of technology in the IoT space, people need to figure it out, and we help them. So that's what we do.
IoT is a term that, for the last, let's say, couple of years has kind of exploded, as you stated. And every time someone says 5G, IoT follows. So can you and you just said that you were doing IoT since like 25 years ago. So can you explain that? Because
it was
back
over
then,
2 cans and a string,
back then, the term IoT was not existent.
No, it was called machine to machine in
the
old days, right? And conceptually, it's the same thing. IoT is more marketing related. That's how it all started, but it's still doing the same exact concepts of machine to machine as IoT is today. You're sending I look at it when I teach IoT 101, I talk about 2 different things. One is if-then statements. So IoT is around if this thing, like let's take a temperature sensor and a fan. If the temperature sensor registers temperature rising, sends an alert through the cloud or the internet wirelessly to a back end that says, oh, the temperature on this sensor is rising. There's something wrong. We need to turn the fan on that's right there at the sensor. And then you send data back to that fan and it turns on. So IoT is around if then. If a water leak occurs underneath your hot water heater, then you send a message that alerts your phone that says, go turn off the valve on your hot water heater. So it's all around if-then statements, but just look at a thing, whatever that thing is, whether it's an asset or a person or a hot water heater, leak detecting unit. There's a thing that wirelessly communicates over the internet back to a central dashboard or back-end platform that interprets that information and sends a request to do something. That's IoT.
Yeah.
And it's the same. And I did one of the first Coca-Cola machines back in the 25 years ago. Okay. And we had big modems and big antennas, but the data was still the same. What's the refrigeration temperature? And you remember in the beginning when we had Coke machines where you had to put money in there and coins in there?
Yeah.
We had a sensor that said if there was a coin jam or there was not enough Cokes in the machine. All those basic, the same sensor type of technology we did 25 years ago is available today. A lot less expensive though.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So we can decouple 5G and IoT, even though the last 2 years it's been like jammed together and repeated over and over. But I just wanted to point this out and have it clear. Yeah. 5G and IoT do not need to be together.
No, sir. Not even close. Not even close. 5G as a technology is being developed to help with content and the delivery of large amount of data to phones and devices and products with low latency. And it's fantastic. It's going to change and revolutionize our entire world. The way we're going to be able to use 5G, both personally as well as within the industry and business-wise, I can't wait for it to be able to get around. Because remember, I'm old, so I went through 1G, 2G, 3G. It's that sort of thing.
Even 0G.
0G.
No phones.
Yeah, exactly. Something you don't remember, Gina.
I do.
Yeah. So, but from an IoT perspective, the amount of data that we're sending is so small, and it's still bursty, fast data that I believe that we're still going to be able to use NB-IoT, CAD-M, LoRa type of technologies, low power, wide area technologies for a long, long time, strictly because they run on 4G, they run on LTE, or they run on a LoRa private network that's running on an ISM band in the 900 megahertz range. All of that can do everything you want on an IoT network without it ever touching a 5G system. So I would say that we're many, many years away where that coupling is there. I think if you look at some of the reasons for doing 5G and IoT, it would be more like automated, autonomous vehicles or road traffic sensors where you really need to be very accurate and the latency's got to be low. And I think those are kind of industries that are going to blossom in an IoT 5G world. But how far away are we from that? When are we going to have a 5G vehicle-to-vehicle autonomous vehicle running around on 52, on your highways and in your area? I just don't see it anytime soon.
So today, where is IoT today? What's the current or most used case for any businesses?
Well, I'm going to break it into businesses or consumers or both.
Both. Let's do both. Yeah.
Okay. So from a consumer standpoint, it is still the basic use cases in the home. A Nest thermostat, a Ring doorbell, a Yale smart lock, sensors within the home that are detecting CO2, carbon monoxide, hot water, water leakage, and in an automated standpoint, your water meter, electric meter, propane tank monitoring type of things in the home. So I think those are still there.
Right.
They're not as the industry is exploding from a Nest thermostat and a Ring and a camera scenario. Those are growing great. I think it was lacking a little bit behind on some of the more sophisticated things like the meter reading and the sensors that are associated with those things. On the enterprise side, explosive. I am close to retirement age. I understand, but I love what I do because the IoT and the enterprise B2B space, with that explosive growth comes unbelievable amounts of disruptive technology. The amount of things that you can do now in an IoT world, the applications that are coming from various technology companies are incredible. And so I'm learning every day about new things that are being offered to the industry, that people are bringing to the marketplace and trying to figure out what is that value add, what is really the true value of the data. The other thing is the value of that data is becoming more and more prevalent. What you do with analyzing that data. Even today, we're still analyzing a very small amount of the IoT data, probably less than 15%. So what are we going to do with that other 85% of the data? So there's companies out there that are trying to figure out how valuable that data really is and what you can do with it and how you can actually make that useful for the owner of the data to use.
That's interesting. And you're discussing current usage of IoT, but I was wondering, what have you heard or seen proposed that kind of blew your mind? What's the craziest application you've seen for IoT?
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna bring up a COVID scenario. I think as we go through this COVID world and the vaccines that are coming out, we are going to need to involve us tracking syringes and COVID vaccines when whatever model or shape they are in.
Okay.
Because we're going to have to trace that. And it's a little different than contact tracing for people, but think about it as vaccine tracing.
Okay.
All the way from the manufacturing facility, all the way through the supply chain, and all the way to the doctor's offices or the CVS pharmacy. And then when the vaccine was given, because now they're talking that we're going to need 2 shots.
Really?
To give you the full amount. So you got to say, okay, I shot Gino up on Monday, and then I got to wait some period of time to give him the second shot for it to be totally done. Well, who's going to monitor that? And is it going to be the healthcare system, the state or the government, or is CVS or your doctor going to do that, or the hospital? And so I think we have to figure out that. So I think that really cool use case of IoT around the whole COVID vaccine world is going to be really blow your mind type of things. And then you add that other COVID piece like contact tracing, temperature monitoring. When you walk into your office, you're in the lobby before you get on the elevator to go to your office. Right. What happens if there was a infrared camera or some kind of sensor that took the temperature of everybody that was in there, and it went and it read your ID badge? So for example, here is a new contact tracing product that's IoT enabled. It's a very small little device that is basically an ID badge, but it's also an access control badge. You put your picture on it. It's got Bluetooth in it, as well as low power wide area IoT network capabilities. And so now when you walk through that sensor and it takes your temperature, it goes into here and then into your HR system. So you know that when Gino walked in, his temperature was 97. And it can track then everything that's associated with it. So when you start to look at all these COVID applications, contact tracing, and knowing what's going on, IoT is absolutely one of the biggest parts of the successful deployments around IoT.
Have you seen or experienced any pushback with privacy concerns?
Of course, we're always going to have that regardless, whether it's a cell phone or is an IoT device. I think from a COVID standpoint, we're juggling that now. We've already been affected by our privacy concerns. When you look at when I arrive in San Juan Airport and they want to know where I'm staying, they want my cell phone number. It's a version of kind of that privacy control. But if you say no, you don't come into the island. You're not allowed in. And you can't get into the hotel. When you go to La Concha, you can't get in the hotel. If you want to do certain things or go into offices or facilities or a restaurant, they're taking your temperature. I think we're starting to feel a little bit more at ease. But we are needing to protect our personal privacy. We're not going to end up being in China. Are you familiar with the China system around COVID? Have you seen it?
Not in detail. But
so again, they can get away with it. We can't, right? So there's certain things they do it. But let's talk the extreme side. So they have a COVID tracking system where it's based off of your phone. And so when you have your smartphone and you walk into a restaurant, there's a QR code that you scan with your phone.
Okay.
It goes back to the government and it knows whether Gino has had the virus, if he had been under quarantine, if he has gotten any kind of medication, if he had spent the 14 days in quarantine. And so when you hit the QR code,
Okay.
it either goes red, yellow, or green. Red means you got it and you get right back to quarantine, that you're illegally walking around the city. If it's yellow, that it knows that you didn't stay in quarantine for the full 14 days, so you need to go back. And if it's green, then you're allowed in the restaurant, or you're allowed in the office building, or something like that. That's the ultimate control, and because they don't care about the privacy like we do in the US.
Right.
So I think there's some kind of balance that's going to happen. But again, it's all going to be about IoT. And if you start to think about what like an Amazon is doing, Amazon has its own COVID testing labs on campus. They own their own certified labs. If you're a driver or a warehouse worker, you are getting temperature scanned. You are getting contact tracing in the warehouse. You're not allowed to say no. And so if you want to work here, here's the things that you have to do to get through your day. And literally, to the point, if you're in the warehouse and you get within 6 feet, there's like somebody watching you on the cameras, and there's a buzzer that goes off and says that you're too close to Gino.
Wow.
Steve, you better move away. So we're getting to the point now where that's there. And again, it's not necessarily phone based; it's device based. It's a little tracking unit that you put on your belt that allows you, battery operated, semi-disposable, 3 months of battery life.
Wow. So IoT. I've seen what IoT can do and achieve, but there's kind of a need for. And please expand on this if it's already happening, to match IoT and the devices with AI. Is that happening right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We are actually having a meeting tomorrow with a new company that is building a cloud-based AI machine learning data analytics engine for even smaller mid-sized IoT companies to basically ingest the data from the sensors, look at that data, and provide you with really instantaneous suggestions or solutions to the problems from the data that's been ingested. And that's the only way we're going to increase the capabilities of IoT is by being able to look at that data, analyze it, go through all the algorithms that are built up for each particular vertical market or industry, in order for you, because you're taking all that industry information into a platform that then spits it out as it relates directly to what you're doing, whether it's in manufacturing or asset tracking or public safety or smart cities or any of those kinds of things. So extremely important. The thing is it's been very expensive up to now. It's been very hard and takes a long time to do. The average data scientist, for any of you people that are out there that are in college or a school that are looking for a career, become a data scientist, because the starting salary for a data scientist is outrageous, because it's such a unique capability from a technology standpoint. But firmly believe that we are going to be taking on a huge role around AI and ML as it relates to IoT, for sure. And 5G is going to help with some of that.
That comes again, 5G.
Well, it's here. There's no stopping it, Gino. As you know, Mr. CBRS, man, you're not going anywhere with it. You're loving it. So,
talking about 5G, what you have expressed kind of your thoughts around it. Where do you see the industry in the next couple of years?
Explosive growth. I think what we're seeing are more and more applications and products and solutions and easy to deploy systems that are allowing companies to get this stuff in-house and work on it. That's one of the reasons why I really enjoy working with you guys at Aeronet. You understand technology, you understand the integration and the support and the technology integration of various types of technologies together. I think that's going to be absolutely critical. I think there's a couple of things that are going to be important that we're going to have to address in order for the growth to continue to be really, really expansive. Number one is that we have to educate better. And Gino, you guys do a great job of educating clients and vendors and people within the ecosystem. And I think we have to continue to do that. You have people in Biomon like Engine 4, where you can go and there's IoT labs, and things that you can do that allow the people of Puerto Rico and the students to be educated. But we have to educate customers too, because a lot of them don't understand really what the capabilities are. So we have to do that. So that's critically important. As an offshoot of AI and ML, which you asked me about, we have a security concern too. You asked me about privacy, but that was privacy around the data around COVID and tracking. But there's a security issue around the data that I'm putting in my warehouse or my pharmaceutical, the J&Js and the Amgens, everybody else that are on the island. How about all the shipping containers that are going in and out of the port? So there's this other thing about security. Is that data really secure? And how is it secure? Is it software secured, hardware secured? One of the things about LoRa and the LoRa network that's on the island down there now is that's encrypted data from the sensor all the way through the back end. And so a lot of people are saying, well, it's encrypted, so it's fine. And that's true. And so I think you're starting to find ways that we have to address security. Our customers are always asking that, and when we're doing our due diligence and pre-sales. And then the third thing is what you guys at Aeronet do amazingly well, integration of all this stuff. We have you at Aeronet, we in the industry have to take responsibility for clients to be able to put all this stuff together. This stuff is still hard. It's not like you buy IoT in a box, and
exactly.
right? It's not, there's no such thing. Even though there's one company out there that still says there's IoT in a box. I'm not a big proponent of it. I still think that there's a lot of pieces and parts that have to get done. But I think from an Aeronet standpoint, you guys are integrators of all this technology. You are the single point of helping companies be able to put the hardware, the software, the platforms, the airtime, the network, the support, and the monitoring of all that together. And I think once we start to get more companies like Aeronet trained and up and running and understanding how to do this well, we'll start to see the increase. It's the only way I think we're ever going to get to the 50 billion devices that all these guys like Gartner Group and everybody else tell us we're going to have.
Those analysts. Those
analysts. Yeah, that's a career I should have gotten into. I can pontificate and get paid for it.
Awesome. Let's talk about a little bit out of the IoT field and a little bit more into the wide and open industry of telecom. The hot topic for the last couple of months has been obviously the CBRS auction and stuff like that, but Starlink, it's on the news almost every week. What do you think about Starlink?
It sounds good. And I understand the modeling around it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yet. I don't
about maybe the market or the technology.
I think the market acceptance. I think it's another thing that we're bringing that is being brought to market. If it confuses your clients, Gino, then we're not going to sell anything. Remember, we lose deals to people that don't do anything. And the more confusion that's out there as to this service is better than that service, and I'm going to do that, and instead of that, it's harder to do. So I'm not a big proponent of like these new things.
Okay. just this week, they were at least helping out with the forest fires situation in the West Coast. They gave out some terminals to the fire departments to have them on field. So
because the towers burnt down.
Right. At least they're serving a beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm happy for Elon Musk and his low orbiting satellite internet data IoT network that he's going to do. I'm really cool. It's and I look at the balloon technology that's being done, like Starlink and some of these. I mean, I think it's great, and I think it's there, but I don't think it's something that we can look at for the entire island of Puerto Rico.
No, I don't think, at least from my point of view, I think that Starlink is going to be a service that will fill a niche and a need. Those very rural areas that, service cannot be delivered because of cost of the infrastructure. those
Yeah.
are the places that
Yeah, but
this
I think,
will be work beautifully.
yeah, and but I do also think when you look at, say, a LoRa network on the island, you're getting 10 kilometers off a base station today.
Right.
So how can we do some hop skipping of LoRa? Yeah, and then John and I, my partner at BH IoT Group, we spoke to a company today about a 20-mile range Bluetooth sensor.
Wow.
Bluetooth for 20
Bluetooth.
miles. Bluetooth.
Okay.
We're
Wow.
not, you've got to be kidding me. And again, a good technology group that has experience, and they've come up with this thing. So when you start to think about Bluetooth hopping 20 miles,
Wow.
you go, okay, well, I understand where rural is, but I also think that, with, you're involved on the island on IoT with the LoRa network down there. And you start to think about the idea that you can now put a LoRa gateway in a rural community, have a 10-kilometer coverage area around that tower site, and handle farms and vineyards and remote monitoring out there pretty easily, because each one of the gateways that are on the towers that you have either a backhaul of fiber or Ethernet or LTE backhauling. So I don't know if we need to go through a technology like Starlink, that long term. I get the model for it, especially like the forest fires that are out there. But we what a cow is, right? Cellular on wheels.
Yeah.
We've been using, unfortunately during Maria, if it wasn't for cows being put down on the island, you guys wouldn't have any communications at all. So, I just think that there's alternatives that work that are, affordable too.
And any technologies that are piquing your interest, or are you see a not so dark future for them?
God, you remember, what I do for a living, right? Gino, am I supposed to tell anybody that they're bad, that their baby's ugly? No, I don't think so. And I think that's one of the great things about me being very blessed to have been in this industry for as long as I have. I'm always, when a company like today shows us a 20-mile Bluetooth sensor, John and I are like, whoa, this is so cool. And I think that we're finding more and more technologies that are out there that are solving customers' problems at an affordable price that companies like Aeronet can deploy and make money on. And it's going to help our customers. So I'm thrilled about where we are in the industry, and I'm thrilled about where we're going. I look at more and more applications that are shocking me, that are coming out of nowhere. I think that autonomous vehicles and vehicle-to-vehicle communications with the sensors that are on a car today are going to be really, really critical. They're going to help us get around on 22 in San Juan, without being in bumper-to-bumper traffic every day. So I think that we're looking at ways of being able to increase our capabilities around just sensors on the street, sensors for environmental issues, sensors for gunshot sensors that we know where crime rates are. All those types of things are just exploding, and so it's a wonderful place to be. And I'm so glad that you and I met a year ago or so, and we kind of coerced you and the Aeronet team to get into this space.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve, for your kind words. I'm very happy to also be part of this journey. Yep. So, we've been discussing for wow, almost half an hour. So kind of wrapping up here. What will you be? I would like always to kind of close the show with some advice, some comment for our public. It can be personal or business related from you. So I think the mic is yours.
Great. I would, for the people that are out there that are listening, that are in the business world, that are looking to get into IoT, I think now is the best time. Having been in it so long, I can tell you that today you can find anything needed to successfully deploy an IoT solution in your company by working with Gino. You can have all the sensors that you can possibly need are out there, all the gateways that you need, and edge computing devices, applications, platforms, integration partners and installation partners and monitoring partners like Aeronet. The networks are there, the LoRa networks and the carrier networks, and soon to be the CBRS licensing networks from Gino. So today's never been a better time to either try it or get into the IoT business, which I think is absolutely wonderful. Still a little hard, which is why you need the Aeronets of the world. So I think that's a wonderful thing about the IoT space. For those that are trying to figure out the consumer side of this, we're going to get to the point of where smart homes are commonplace, where we have the propane tanks being monitored by San Juan Gas. We have the water meters being, looked at by PREPA and those kind of companies. We're seeing that in, like the Prisa group with all the hotels and managing these things. The applications are amazing, but the home products where you can go and put things into your home that are going to give your home a better sense of security, of knowing how to do this, and you being able to do it yourself as a DIY, do-it-yourself scenario. I think that's going to help a lot in growing the business. But it's a great time to be in this business. I just can't get over how explosive it is. There's ROI. You can actually make money doing it if you're on that side of the business as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Steve. This has been a great experience. I would like to share with the public your information. So if someone wants to contact your company and contact you, here's your Twitter handle, LinkedIn, and the website.
That'd be great. Love to. Love teaching people about IoT and I'll any business that contacts me on Puerto Rico, the leads are going to that guy right over there.
Any questions related to IoT, Steve is your guy.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for having me, Gino. It was great.
Oh, thank you. And for all the people watching us, thank you for your time. And until next time, will be it. Thank you very much. This has been Gigabits and Gigahertz. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.